So Rabbi Elazar, the Talmud tells us, before he's set to meditate and contemplate in his prayers, to connect to God, to speak to him face to face, like a child and like a servant before God, he would give charity to the pauper. And that would arouse from above to give, that God would give a gift, bestow a kindness that we can have in our prayers, an illumination of our soul in our prayers. So the question is, why is it necessary to give charity before you pray? If it's the prayer that is, God is gifting that in our prayer, that we can have a sense of connection because we want to serve him. We want to be connected to him, right? We want to connect to him. Then why is it necessary to give charity? What is the point of the charity before that that will give that divine revelation? Is it not the fact that one is meditating, praying before to God and giving all of your heart and soul in it? Isn't that sufficient? So says the Alter Rebbe in this 8th letter, he says that to be bestowed divine kindness, that you would be able to experience something that is far beyond the effort that was put in, not necessarily would kindness from heaven be bestowed upon you. Why? It's because there's also another attribute in heaven called Gevura. Gevura means strength, severity, judgment, holding back, tzimtzum, contraction. So that divine light, maybe in heaven, is not ready to show that kindness. Maybe there's a judgment or a contraction, something to hold back from that experience in prayer. Therefore, it depends on us. If we arouse God's kindness above, how? Because we do it down here. We bestow life, loving kindness through the acts of charity, of giving to those that are in need, to sustain them. So that arouses in heaven above that the attribute of divine kindness should be bestowed upon us. And this is the idea, as our sages say, with measure that a person meets, that will be measured to that person. In other words, you mete it out in this world, divine a kindness by giving, by being charitable. So now will be meted to you also divine kindness in your prayer, that you will get a lofty illumination in your soul. But ask the Alter Rebbe, but if you do divine kindness over here in the physical world, shouldn't it get you a spiritual divine kindness in the spiritual world? Meaning the Garden of Eden, it brings more illumination to the soul in the Garden of Eden. Why would you get an illumination in this physical world? That seems to be not meeting out measure for measure. That in this world where in our hearts there's darkness, that's the service of the heart is in prayer, that we should have what's called tshuva ilah, this high level of repentance that is superior to the actions that we put in. Meaning to say, our sages tell us, better 1 hour of repentance and good deeds in this world than all of the life in the world to come. So it seems like there's a small little thing A small little thing like giving charity brings such a divine illumination to the soul during one's prayer, far outweighing. It would seem more appropriate that you would get only a glimmer of the light later on in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden. But to have such a level of kol tshuva law, this high repentance, penitence of lofty connection through the simple act of giving charity, seems to be disproportionate to the act of your giving, that what God is giving in return. How do we understand that? And for the answer, I'll have to wait till tomorrow. In other words, a simple act of giving charity should get a simple ray of light that your soul gets in the world to come, meaning in Gan Eden. That would be an appropriate reward. But what we're saying is no. What you're getting is something vastly superior to that. An experience now of the divine. An experience that is awe-inspiring. That can take the heart, the service of the heart in prayer where there's darkness, and it's illuminated with the divine light of God. Now, not just because you prayed, of course you got to pray properly, but it's because you gave the charity before the praying. How do we understand that? The fact is, yes, that's what happens by giving charity. I'm very careful to try to give every single day, except for Shabbos and holidays, of course, charity. I have a little pouch with coins. That way I always have. And in our synagogue, we even have a pushka, and we have change there, so if someone doesn't have, they can take from there and they can give. Should always give. And then pray. That's what we learn over here from Elazar in the Talmud. And what that enables us, so that therefore in our prayers that are focused prayer, and in tune, and that we know that we're that we're talking to God, that we are connecting and one with God, that it will illuminate our soul now, not just in the future, a glimmer, but it will illuminate our soul with such a lofty light. Wow. All right. Well, we're going to find out tomorrow how that happens. So in other words, the fact is that the question is, how do we understand it? This is Chabad teachings. Chabad teachings means that we need to understand as best as possible. So, how do we understand that? Davida, questions we're going to take now for just a brief moment, because I have to run, actually. How does this one apply to a pledge to give tzedakah in merit for one's loved ones during Yizkor? Not the same idea. We're talking about now giving charity before you pray in order to receive a divine illumination through the effort in your prayers, of course, that far outstrips your engagement. How do we understand that? That the fact is as such. The question is, how so? How do we understand it with our intelligence? That's it. Okay? We'll have more of that. A reminder tonight, 6:30. You don't want to miss Torah studies. And 8 p.m. is TRC, Tanya Rabbi Community. Good stuff is happening. Amazing class coming up at 6:30 that's going to be on Zoom, on live here at Chabad. So if you can make it from, if you can make it from overseas here, you got like 7 hours to make it here from overseas. From the United States, it's even closer. So you got some time. And if not, join us on Zoom or on Facebook, Chabad ZK. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, great week. Shavua Tov, Good Tvach, and a wonderful day. Thank you for joining. Thank you.